I'll have to let Mom know you're catching on. Of course I am. Did you really? Shit, are those tornado sirens? I can hear them too. A tornado, they're showing it on the news. Okay, Ben, you know the drill. Downstairs. I want to watch it on the news. Benjamin, now. Most tornadoes only stay on the ground for a few minutes and travel less than 10 miles. This one is 12 miles away. So, I was like 15 miles away at the high school, right? Ben, now. Hey, I'm gonna let you go, okay? I should focus on the road. You drive safe. I will. Don't you dare let her off that phone, David. She needs to pay attention to the road, Nora. I'm hanging up. Like hell you are. You keep her on that goddamn phone. I'll listen to her getting sucked up into a tornado before I have to sit around and just worry about it. This is stressful. Tornado sirens are just stressful. There would be so much debris that her phone would be destroyed before you could even get to hear. There'd be so much debris that her phone would be destroyed before you could hear her get sucked into the tornado. Also, you would have to put $2 in the jar. She could get in a wreck, especially with all this wind. You would probably be able to hear her get in a wreck, unless the phone gets thrown from the car, or if it was crushed. Okay, bud, enough of that. You're going to give your mother a heart attack. Ask her if she can see anything. Christ, Nora. Here, you ask her. Talk to your mother, Kelly. Okay. Kelly, can you see anything out there? Just rain. No hail? No, just rain. The tornado was east of here. If Kelly went to Grandpa's house, she's northwest of here. She wouldn't see a tornado unless there's another one, which is very possible. I just wanted to make sure, Ben. If Kelly gets sucked into a tornado or gets in a car wreck, can I have her computer? Benjamin. She won't need it. If she's not using it, no one will be. It wouldn't be fair if I couldn't have it. Okay, bud. I think that's fair. If Kelly gets sucked into a tornado, I'm sure she'd be okay with letting you have her computer. What about her room? Please, Ben. That's enough. I tell you what, we'll leave her room on the table. You never know. We could get some damage here, and her room might have a giant hole in the ceiling. If I were you, I'd wait to see on that investment. Alright, that's a good point. Your brother sometimes. God bless him. Let me talk to him. You sure about that? Yeah. Okay, you asked for it. Ben, here, talk to your sister. Water tower. I don't want to. You can ask her about that computer. Let me have the phone. Dad says I can have your computer if you crash or get sucked into a tornado. Hello to you too, Ben. He also said that I might be able to have your room, but I'm holding off to see if it's more damage than mine after the storm before I commit. That's smart of you. I'm not dumb, so you shouldn't be surprised. Are you surprised? Not even a bit. You should be surprised. I'm not dumb. No, you're not. Mom and Dad are arguing in the corner. They don't think I can hear them. What are they arguing about? Mom thinks we should be in the storage room on the east side of the house because she says it's further underground. Is it? No, one of the walls is only halfway covered. She's also afraid that the water heater in here could explode. If that happens, we'd be killed. Even if we were in the other room, we'd burn to death. So you guys are in the safest room? We're least likely to be killed by a tornado if we are in this room. But there's no guarantee in either room. Tornadoes and debris are unpredictable. Sounds like you've thought this out. We are least likely to be killed by a tornado. Oh, I went back again. Sounds like I thought this out. It's just common sense. Are you scared? Yes. Anything I can do to help? How? We can just talk. What about? You've been writing a lot lately, haven't you? Yes. Do you want to read me any of your stories? Like how we used to tell stories to each other. All my stories are upstairs. It would be dangerous to go upstairs during a tornado warning. I didn't think about that. I wrote one today. I could tell it to you. Alright. Are you ready? Wait, what's it called? Untitled. Oh, well, okay then. Are you ready now? Yeah. A village sat in a wide valley cut high in the mountains. It was a place of plenty. a gash of green in the otherwise cold slate rising above on all sides. Those living in the village called the place View, though those who lived higher in the mountains, mining for precious glints of yellow and blue, called it the Trough. Those in the valley treated this name as an insult, for they thought it was a name unfit for their fair village. The people of View, or the Trough, had lived there for centuries. They were mostly farmers, though a fair number of the merchants had made a home in the valley for most of the year, save for the month when they would venture upward into the mining towns to sell the harvest bounty at a premium. They would return home with bags filled with chips of yellow and blue tied to their fine yellow belts. Dinking brightly with the wealth. That was Jimmy Rock, right? Dinking brightly with the wealth. The next year, they would trade half of their shining flints to the farmers for a share of the harvest that they would, in turn, cart up to the mining villages yet again. Flood flowed up and outward from the valley, and the yellow and blue would trickle down, gathering in the valley like a collection basin. I almost just want to watch that when the lightning goes off. I think I know what that is. This continued for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years. Dozens of generations of farmer fathers and merchant sons were born, grew wealthier, and were buried beneath the plush pasture of the valley, until the beast descended. The mining folk in the higher reaches of the mountains had passed the tales of the beast around for as long as their history stretched. At the highest peak of the northernmost mountain, they said, lived the beast. It watched in all directions through slit eyes, judging those below, biding its time until it would enact a righteous calamity. It was a nightmare of immense and terrible power, the miners would whisper. But it was also a patient creature. It would wait until it felt the world below had become irredeemable before unleashing such destruction that its judgment would be fulfilled. It was simply biding its time until an age of selfish sin before cascading down an era of sickness and madness, of fire and char and blood. And one day, after hundreds of generations of farmers and traders had lived and died in the valley, it appeared in view. The beast had risen in the trough. It appeared without warning, with neither sound nor fury. It was simply there. Car accident coming out there, right? Curled atop 4 legs, steaming breath rising from the black maw, leathery wings folded in its hulking shape. It towered over the center of the village, ominously silent. It did not move. It did not even seem to be living, save for the seeping steam billowing from its slime-sick snout. The villagers' warriors were called to arms, the ceremonial horn echoing off the walls of the valley, aching towards a pregnant silence. After a moment stretched thin, they rushed toward the beast, their spears angled at its massive form. The rest of the village watched from the safety of the embroidered drapery as the spears splintered against the beast's hide, the honed blades shattering like glass. The warriors fell to the earth, crying out while their arms, as splintered as their spears, hung lifeless by their sides. The beast did not stir. The village's warriors were buried the next morning, having perished during the night. Those who tended to their wounds would later claim their eyes turned black as if the light was leached from within. The people of View, or the Trough, gathered to discuss what to be done. The beast slumbered, but for how long? Why did it sleep? And perhaps, most worryingly of all, how had it arrived in the valley? Not a soul had seen its arrival. It was almost as if the thing had simply materialized in the center of the village, or if some proposed, it had emerged from the earth itself. But if that were the case, how had the soil, their valuable, rich, rare earth, the source of their plenty and their affluence, birthed such a terrible creature? The villagers wailed for their plight. "We have done nothing to deserve this," they cried. "We should not have to carry this burden." Some were quick to suggest leaving. But where would they go? The villagers decided to stay in the valley. The creature slept, and the creature breathed. Which each breath its skin rolled, animating the thorny black scales into a rolling obsidian briar. But it did not rouse. It did not move. It did not rain terror from the skies, nor did it consume children by the score. It slept. The farmers continued to tend their land. The merchants made their yearly trek of the treacherous trails to collect what little chips of wealth the miners had collected in exchange for the farmers' yield. Year after year, however, there seemed to be a little less. A little less harvest. A little yet less yellow and blue passed around in the snowy alcoves carved from unforgiving rock. A little less green in the valley, a little less light. This continued for 20 years, until the day it began to rain. The people of View, or the Trough, watched the clouds roll in from the south, whence the clouds usually arrived laden with water from a faraway sea, but from the north, where there was but ice and stone and mountain. The rain draped the valley in a dampness that did not relent, but instead crept into every corner. The mountains themselves seemed to sweat and pour water into the valley. The water carried with it a quiet rot. The first harvest after the rains began produced a meager crop, and what little could be gathered was black with mold before the merchants had a chance to trade for their yellow and blue. Their livestock fared no better. The animals began developing weeping sores that became infected and killed with a quick fever. That winter, the people of the Trough, or View, watched one another waste away as they began to starve. The next harvest was worst. Every last crop had turned mealy and infested before midsummer. By the end of the season, the last of their livestock was dead. The people of the Trough watched one another descend into a state of hungry madness, devouring the rotting wood sloughing from their homes in slimy heaps, and their fine leather belts that once held yellow and blue, now sprouting spores of black mold. The village and its residents were rotting away. A group of villagers approached the beast after the last of their livelihood had perished, slogging through the swamp of waist-high mud to make a plea to the beast. "We are sorry if we offended you, mighty creature. We offer ourselves to you in hopes that our sacrifice will satisfy your hunger." In unison, the villagers submerged themselves into the tarry mud, suffocating in the muck. The beast slept. As the rains from the north continued into their third year, the few remaining people in the Trough began to prophesy about the beast. It had come and brought with it the great devastation, they could agree. It had brought the rains from the north. It had brought a rot to the village that would not relent. Squatting in what little remained of their crumbling homes, they dreamt of a day that the beast would be satisfied by their penance, when it would wake and leave their valley and allow them to rebuild from the rubble. The time will come, they said, when the beast will wake from its slumber. Oh, that was cool. That was cool. There was like a lightning flash. Go look at it again. The time will come, they said, when the beast will wake from its slumber and spread its wings, reaching from one end of the valley to another. And with the beat of those mighty wings, it will ascend aloft to squall. And the wind will lift away our rot. Their villagers waited for this day to come. A generation came and went, born into the rain and long rotten in moldy dirt. The few survivors had long abandoned hope that the beast would return to its mountain perch. It was perpetual, a manifestation of their sin. The beast slept. Until it did not. The day the beast woke, the villagers celebrated. They watched it stretch its long, horrible shape. If you hear me like stuttering, it's because I'm like, whenever there's lightning, I'm like trying to look what it's trying to show me. The day the beast woke, the villagers celebrated. They watched it stretch its long, horrible form into shape, hide shuddering as it shook the decades of rain from the thorny scales. They sang to the beast as it stood uncertainly and reared on its haunches, unfolding the scarred leather wings from one end of the valley to the other. The time of the beast's departure had finally arrived. The time had come for the cleansing wind. The beast beat its wings, emitting a tired and ugly groan as it lifted from the sodden earth. With a final sigh, it shot high into the air, sending a great gust of wind through the valley that toppled the dismal dwellings that remained haphazardly standing. The valley was wiped clean. The villagers were knocked from their feet by the rush of wind. As they struggled upright, they felt the sun on their skin for the first time. They rejoiced, their pale forms dancing in a pitiful display of frailty. They could return to the ways of their ancestors. They could know plenty. They planted their first crop before the grass had even greened, a newfound acuity for the hunger pains that had plagued them constantly. But the grass did not wax green, and the crops did not grow. The decades of rain from the north had left the earth poisoned. There was no going back. They would not know plenty, nor would they silence the constant muttering of their stomachs. Their rot had been lifted, in its place, sterility. The sun shone, but it was upon a new land, a land turned into jagged, unforgiving slate, where perhaps bits of yellow and blue could be scavenged if one dug deeply enough to find petrified leather belt. That's the end. You remembered all that? I don't have it with me to read. I obviously remembered it. Did you like it? I did. I'll print you a copy. What were you doing at Grandpa's house today? Just visiting. But there's no one there to visit. I just wanted to see it. Oh, why didn't you ask if I wanted to go? We can go together tomorrow. Okay, did you find anything there? Something for you, actually. What is it? Guitar pick. Why would I want a guitar pick? It's cool. I don't think so. We can play together. I don't want to. Why not? We used to. That was before. Now I don't care about guitar. Oh. You can keep the guitar pick. I don't want it. I will. Are you crying? What? No, I'm not. Is it because that Jesse person kicked you out of your house? Ben, I don't. Or is it because you had to move back home since you couldn't find a job? Mom and Dad are worried about both those things. They think you are sad because of them. Ben. Okay, Ben, give me the phone. Kelly's crying, and I want to know why. I know, honey, but let me talk to her, please. Come here, bud. Help me wind up this radio so we can both listen to the weather report. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong, Kelly? No, you're fine. Go help Dad. Okay, I'm sorry you're sad. Hey, Kelly, are you okay? I'm fine. I don't believe you. I don't want to talk about it right now. Okay, are you close to home? I can't tell, it got really dark. I can't believe the sirens are still going off. This might be the longest tornado warning we've ever had. They're saying 2 more have touched down in the county. Listen, when you get home, we'll all sit down and have a talk. I think we need it. Okay. You really can't tell where you are? 5 aisles out, maybe? Okay, make sure you... What's that noise? Kelly, I'm gonna have to let you go. Mom? There in... Mom, you're breaking up. There in... Oh. Own Ben G. Mom? Kelly, Shit. I don't know if I press the button. Okay. So that was the story. So I want to play the epilogue before I talk about it, but interesting. End theme and the wind will lift away our rot. Interesting. I don't know. I didn't know what I went in expecting. I guess what I thought it was going to be is I thought it was going to be more like a Flash game you'd play like back in 2006, like a horror game, but not a ton of interaction, but like kind of you make different choices for different outcomes. And I guess I didn't expect it to be just so narratively driven. And I'm wondering, was there any purpose to the different dialogue choices? I don't think there were. I think it's just you finding out about the stuff you want to find out about and just kind of giving some level of interaction. But I'm going to play the epilogue here and I'm going to comment after that.